Good morning and welcome back to the Endgame. It was initially my intention to record 4 Ultimate, but then everything fell through. So here we are in 3 Ultimate. It is a happy alternative. It is an alternative that both satisfies me and pleases me. I was going to use a phrase that honestly was horrific, and I'm glad it didn't pass my lips. Better that you don't know. We are with a group of HR6 people who are at this stage, as I understand it, grinding for the Helios armor via, well, I say via as if there's other options. They are grinding for it through Goldbeard Cedeus. I'm going to bring something appropriate for that fight. Probably a lance, actually. If I really wanted to make it quick, I would bring a Pierce heavy bowgun, but that's really not necessary. It's a full group, and I don't want to... I guess, what would be the word? I want them to have a more fulsome experience with the monster, right? I want them to, at least for a few hunts, have a proper grind, rather than just have the monster be dead within the space of 3 minutes. Although I'm sure that would please them. Should I? Yeah, I'll just use this lance, that's fine. I was tempted to, of course, use Awaken, but then I thought, no, I always do that, don't I? When I'm playing 3 Ultimate. The room that I'm in here is nice and communicative. They've got personality, they're actually chatting to each other, they're saying things, they are expressing personality, which is nice. Yeah, 4 Ultimate just, basically I joined a room in 4 Ultimate. I'm not going to give you the whole lowdown, but basically the room had 2 AFK people that became AFK at different times. Ultimately, when we finally were able to depart on a quest, it ended up being a high rank quest anyway. Even though it was a G rank room, it was just not a good outcome, to put it euphemistically. Alright. I say we ready up. Real people on Citra, whoa. It's not just Citra, it feels like Monster in general. It's just very difficult to encounter people who have the same sort of... you don't really get the same level of interaction anymore with people in Monster as you did 10 plus years ago. It's just unfortunate. I think part of it is because it's emulated. Because when you're on console, it felt like people really had personality, whereas now it's just the bare minimum of communication. And look, maybe I could be considered part of the problem, because, to speak for myself, if that's the level of communication, I don't go out of my way to try and raise the bar, to try and get responses out of people, or to begin conversation. So, there you go. I was slowly swimming towards him there because I didn't want to grab my mouse, move my cursor over to the special attack button, and then proceed to do the special attack. I will, however, do it now. Oh, almost hit you though. Oh, do I have both screens visible? I do. Almost did that twice now. It's just the first time that I did it, it was in 4 Ultimate, and you weren't... Those of you watching the VOD didn't see that, and perhaps you are better for it. It was just a high-rank Rathalos. A high-rank Silver Rathalos. Nobody needs to see that. So yeah, for anyone coming into the live stream, no, we are not doing 4 Ultimate, and it is not 4 Ultimate that you are currently watching. It is indeed 3 Ultimate, which sadly cannot be played on its original servers. I believe 4 Ultimate can be, well, not really its original servers, but 4 Ultimate at this stage I think can be played on the Pretendo servers, just not 3 Ultimate. And I could also be misinforming you on the subject of 4 Ultimate. It could have just been Double Cross on the 3DS that got supported, I'm not sure. I think it was 4 Ultimate. Of course, you can never quite get a sense of perspective on where that's going to go. Very confusing. I will nullberry myself, though. Yeah, the Monster Hunter community peaked with Try, and then it did, as you suggest, decline from there. I wish I could have played with the people on the original servers in Monster Hunter 1. I was stuck with whoever was playing in ad hoc party on Freedom Unite. As you can see, there's a little bit of jittery movement on the part of Cedeus here. But aside from that jittering, it seems okay. We're not getting actual teleportation of the monster, which is good. Might aim for the face, seeing as though I'm right here. Aha. As soon as we get this swimming animation, we want to make our way to the Dragonator. Just don't know where the hell we are in relation to it. There it is. It seems that Khan knows what's happening. Again, no guarantee that they would know, because they are, by their own description, noobs. I will leave the Dragonating up to Khan. Yep, good timing. He knows how to do it. I'll stay here to try and align myself with the head when it comes back. Try and get that double horn break. Okay. Well, I'll try to completely absorb the information you've just shared, AJ, in the chat, in just a second. Apparently you can bind buttons to touch inputs to make it so that you're not forced to, as I said, use the touchscreen to do a special attack. So, I have not actually done that. I guess I'm just lazy. Insufficiently curious as to what options there are for me to play with. Alright, so we've broken a number of things. We've broken the beard, we've broken one of the horns, we've broken the back. Now there is also a separate tail break and one more horn break. I don't believe we've managed to achieve the tail break. Aha, there goes the horn. Now let's look at the state of the tail. The tail is intact. You'd basically just have a few chunks coming out of it if it had been broken. The tail break is not a common one, because you're often not given the opportunity to hit the tail very much. I find that you usually get the tail break with regular Cedeus, because you end up attacking him while he's fleeing. And I think we just got the tail break. Okay. All breaks. And if I didn't know better, I would suggest that Zinfin was actually intending to aim for the tail in pursuit of that break. In fact, maybe he was doing just that. These guys seem pretty switched on. And I believe there is no coincidence in the fact that the team is competent and also communicative and fun. So, just a little bit more mental engagement, I think, would be what we're experiencing here. It's very, very unfashionable in today's Monster Hunter community. Very unfashionable. Alright. If you go into the input options, there is a box near the bottom that says motion/touch. You can bind any specific place on the touch screen to a button. Well, I really thought that I didn't have such an option. That's pretty amazing. So, Do you mean... Oh, you mean within the emulator, not within the game. So... Configure... Controls... Motion touch... How do you map it? How does it detect? Use button mapping. Does select even have a function? Let me think. So select is menu, so start should not have a function, right? Just wanted to make sure that I wasn't mapping it to a button that I'm already using. Use button mapping. Look, I'll get into this on another occasion. But yeah, it seems like you're right that there is an option. Good stuff. 2 deep dragon gems. Yeah, select and start may be the same. Khan commented that that was fast for 4 people. I suppose these guys are not in any way ill-equipped. They've got slime weapons, all of them, and they are level-appropriate slime weapons. So, I mean, they're not actually G-rank weapons, of course, because they've only just entered G-rank. They've decided that before proceeding through G-rank, they're going to get the full Helios set, which is quite standard. That seems to be what most people do. But they're not inappropriate, because this is an urgent quest into G-rank, so it's expected that you're able to clear it with high-rank gear. So I would say that given that they're using slime damage, they are definitely level appropriate, but they did notice a big difference with me in there, and I think that's inevitably because I'm using a fully upgraded Elatrion weapon, so... because these guys are really struggling with fur, it looks like, I'll just bring a Pierce loadout. And just, absolutely body the monster for them. There's also another reason. It's because, yeah. If we're going to be repeatedly doing the quest, the sooner that they are cleared, the better. Why can I not see it? Am I actually blind? It's, heavy P. Yeah, heavy P. But just, look at the communication. And maybe this means nothing to you, what I'm about to show you. Maybe this interaction within the chat is just, you know, normal. It's like human communication. Wow, what a big deal. I mean, seriously, this is very difficult to find in the emulation community. It's very reminiscent of just a normal interaction 10 years ago on the servers. Makes me long for the past. Anyway. Throne of the Abyss. Now I shouldn't really need combination materials for my shots, so as long as I bring all of my Pierce, I should be fine. So yeah, fortunately not much preparation needs to go into this. So for those who haven't seen the... Oh, I just ate for Unlucky Cat, which is really stupid. That was a terrible decision. That might really mess me up. What have we got? Yep, I got fucking Unlucky Cat. How stupid could I be? That really is breathtaking. So I'm actually going to have to deal with a start of quest. I don't even know how to describe it. I was going to say demerit. I think that's putting it lightly. Anyway. I'm probably going to have to begin the hunt by consuming a Mega Dash Juice rather than just getting straight in there, positioning myself and beginning the Pierce Onslaught. Which is foolish of me. I mean, I can't quite believe I just did that. I think it's because I saw Lucky Cat, thinking it was Lucky Cat, but no, it was Unlucky Cat. I can't remember the last time I ate Unlucky Cat on camera. Wasn't in this decade. Alright, bring it on. Oh my fucking god, it wasn't even that. It was, health related. Okay. Sometimes you get, like, no stamina. No, it's usually health, isn't it? Sorry. It's been that long since I've eaten Unlucky Cat that I couldn't fucking remember if it was stamina or health that would get dropped. So yeah, because of that, I wasn't able to position myself properly, so now we've got a Cedeus that's moving around a bit, you know. See? Already enraged. I wish I could have given them a better show, but that's alright. That's my fault. So once I flinch him the first time, I should be able to get him locked down. Ideally. Oh, for goodness sake. Let's go back to healing, shall we? But yeah, so what you want to do is at the beginning of the hunt, you position yourself in line with the face, start shooting, and he'll just get flinched. He'll get actually locked down. Alright, let's try to begin that now. I guess that works. I didn't really position myself correctly because I hadn't realized that he'd moved that far away with that flinch. I can't really see what the hell's going on. I guess I'm getting flinched by Hammerman. Aha, thank you for that. That may work very well in my favor. No. Well. Maybe not in the Endgame series, but at least in other series I do have a long documented history of how to correctly pierce gun this monster, and I regret to say that today is not the day for me to be demonstrating it. Alright, so hopefully now that I've begun that, we can hope for a stun lock. It does require the damage of other people as well, to be clear. It's not just purely my damage, it's just... the idea is you're getting head flinches and piercing very aggressively through the body, and that really helps. Helps get him stuck in a pattern. There you go. So like that. So if these guys get into a good rhythm as well, so this is where you lock him down. See how I'm holding off on my shooting? It's so that I can take advantage of the timing of his flinches. Cool. So this is what ideally you're doing at the very beginning. And I messed that up, but that's fine. I'm not going to call it an art form, it's really not that complicated, but I suck today. That's alright. So that's what you saw there is what should happen at the very beginning of the hunt, where you are aligning yourself with the monster and then immediately stun locking. As long as we get under 5 minutes, I'll be content, but with Cedeus randomly swimming away like this, it's not really happening. It may not happen, rather. Interesting perspective. I'm not really in a good spot, am I? Far from it. Do you think he's swimming towards the Dragon Eater? Potentially. Yeah, looks like he might be. I think Khan has figured that out. I don't think I've seen that before. Swimming to the Dragon Eater after doing the big water beam. Alright, cool. So that was quite poor. We weren't able to sub 5 because I suck, and we'll do better next time. I will not have consumed fucking unlucky cat. And yeah. We'll lock it down. Maybe not lock it down, but get a few more opportunities to do so. I don't really need any of this stuff. But as I say, the flinch locking in question does require the damage of the other team members. I wouldn't be able to just go in there solo and flinch lock, I don't think. I would probably need adrenaline or heroics for that. Or potentially dragon ammunition. Dragon ammunition could probably do it. I think Cedeus is sufficiently weak to dragon in order for that to work. Hunter rank 578. We'll give it another try, shall we? But yeah, these guys, they're familiar with how the grind works. They're perfectly capable of playing the game themselves, but giving them a few quick hunts with Cedeus, I think, it seems to be appreciated, but I'd like to give that to them. It's not like I'm taking a group that is completely clueless and just handing them victory. It's not really that way. I would probably be more hesitant to do this if they were completely incompetent. Apparently they've been doing 15 to 20 minute hunts against him, so... Alrighty. So I just need to make sure that I've actually purchased my ammo. I have done so. I did that completely subconsciously. As for how long it takes for these guys to actually make a full armor set, I'd say probably 6 hunts usually to do it. This guy's cycling his quests. Apparently they often hunt with 2 people, so they don't always have this full group of 3 going. I guess he was cycling his food, or potentially something else. What did he eat? Lucky Cat Specialist? It's quite nostalgic to see the high rank Giganox set. Because of course everything that they're using in high rank that came from Tri is the same as the fully upgraded loadouts, or the, you know, highest level loadouts of Tri. So except in this game, you can get full Diablos, whereas that was not possible in Tri. In Tri, I think it was just the... Was it just the chest and the... I think it was chest, arms, and legs, possibly. It was, I think, 2 pieces shy of a full armor set for some reason. I don't know why they chose to do that in Tri, but... Anyway. I do love the design of the Brachydios hammer. I only recently made that, relative to when I actually began this save file, which was the year the game came out. I only made the Brachydios hammer in recent years. Alright. Let's hope for a bit of a better result this time. And after this, I might give Dragon Ammunition a try. So the reason why I'm positioning myself down here is because he will reposition down himself, see? Now I could have maybe gone a little closer, because I am out of critical distance, to be fair. But that's alright. Already enraged. But I find the key to flinching him is to really get it into his head. There you go. Now we'll just... Oh, no. He cancelled out of whatever he was doing now. I was about to say, let's hope for a good round of flinching. No, he just completely ignored whatever he was doing now. Fine. It's unfortunate. But yeah, it sounds like these guys have definitely experienced what it's like to farm this monster normally, so... Sometimes they've had to do it with 2 people, taking 20 minutes to get the quest over and done with, so... Happy to give them a few quick hunts. Barely missed that. It's a bit scary. Very good. I do wonder how effective almost point-blank range shooting is underwater, because there's obviously a halving of the critical distance. I just don't know how they really calculate that. Is it still considered point-blank range underwater? Hard to know. I'm just going for DPS here, rather than aiming for the weak points of the monster. Probably not a good thing, but... Yeah, alright, I'll get these 3 shots out. But you can see how Cedeus really drags on the fight by just swimming off randomly. Reminds me a little bit of White Fatalis in Freedom Unite. In the middle of the fight, he'll just randomly fly away. And then, there you go, that's the situation. You just have to wait for him to finish doing whatever it is that he is doing, and then... Yeah, in the meantime, you can't actually hit him at all. Alright, hopefully this will be doable with PS2. Let's find out. Not quite. I actually reached a limit to the angle of attack, or the angle of movement. I was facing downwards already within the water, and couldn't actually lift my aiming any higher. Yeah, I can't really do it with PS2, sadly. I think I'm going to get hit by this no matter what I do, so I'm just going to take it. I prefer Deus over Amatsu Magatsuchi. I don't really have much warmth towards Amatsu. I think he's okay, but he's not a favorite of mine. Deus has the sort of grandeur that you would hope to have with a third-generation Elder Dragon. Whereas Amatsu, he's got a little bit of it, but not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. Alright. I'm going to assume that out of the stuff that Deus drops, the horns are probably what I have least of. So I'll at least carve those. Well, now that I've done the pierce gunning, not very well, but better than before, I might give the dragon gunning a try. And I will familiarize myself once again with the elemental weak points of the monster, because that's important. I do know the dragon is the primary weakness, I would assume that the beard and the face are the primary elemental weak points, but I'd just like to get a clear visual on that. Open up the decks. 3G decks. Monster. Alright, so the horn, interestingly, is that so it goes. The top three weak points are the horn, the belly. Let me actually see what part of the body that is. So number 6. Interestingly, I would be better off, I think, just for consistent damage, aiming for the main body. So that's actually not the beard, not the head. I mean, the head is good, but I think that for piercing purposes, I might actually be better off aiming for the main body. So I want to avoid the breast. The beard is also not great. I think the belly would be good. Could also maybe get some on the horn and the head. If I'm shooting, yeah, if I'm directly in front of him, I will go for it, but aside from that, I think we'll go for the main body. That would be really good. Okay. One sec. Cool. Alright, Khan says that that was his last one. Yeah, they're still having a lot of trouble getting fur, or at least Legic is having a lot of trouble with that. I don't really understand the comparison, Wonderlord. Neset versus Dios? You mean, like, if you just mean purely the weapons, then yeah. The armor aren't really comparable to one another, but in terms of the weapons, yeah, I get what you mean. I don't like Neset weapons at all. I think Brachydios has its place. It is overpowered, but I like the weapon designs, and I kind of like the slime element idea. Or the slime status, rather. Yeah, I do vaguely remember that, AJ. Swimming directly up and down by holding B. I don't think I'd do that very often, though, AJ. Alright, let's change to Dragon Light Bowgun. Connection lost. Ugh. Okay, so it doesn't transfer the host, unfortunately. So the guy who's leaving was the guy who made the room. Legic says mass extinction has occurred, which is quite upsetting. And I'll just wait for these guys to make a new room. The comparison's fine, Monolord. It was mainly, yeah, it wouldn't make sense to compare the weapons. It's more, or sorry, it wouldn't make sense to compare the armor, but the weapons does make sense because, in Generations Ultimate, most people use Neset weapons as a general use weapon, and the same for Brachydios here. Yeah, I dislike them in a similar way to one another because it's not very creative to just use one particular weapon and for everyone else to be using one particular weapon, but functionally they're pretty good. Okay, Legic has made a room. Let's go. I'd say that Brachydios, well, I keep doing this. I need to use Neko. Neko means cat. That is his name. Alright, so we're going to the marina because I need to change to Elemental Light Bowgun. I've said this before, but going through the armor sets in the 3DS version is absolute piss. It is not pleasant. I truly hate it. How many hard horns have I got? I fucking hate this. Like, the 3DS version in so many ways is utterly inferior. When I put that away... So to start with, it doesn't show me how many are in the box in that previous screen. And even when I've put it in the box, I can't see how many are actually in there. It just shows me the box with the item. I mean, you can see I'm actually showing both screens. There's no indication as to how many items are here. It's just fucking ridiculous. It did tell you, incidentally, in... Oh, quantity with... Hold on. Quantity with Y? Yes. So if I press Y, it will tell me. Why do I need to do that? Get it? Y? Why is that necessary? I guess they're trying to be efficient with their limited use of space, or the limited space that they have available. They're trying to use it efficiently by not showing me information that I may not need to see, but that's pretty important, in my opinion. That's the sort of information that you would want to have visible at all times. Alright. So if I can remember what I need Bone Husk L. And Dragonfell Berries. I'll confirm that that's correct. Yes. And then I should have Dragon Shots to actually bring. I don't really want Flaming Shots. Once I'm out of dragons, and this is the problem, at least when I'm fighting, say, Abyssal Lagucras, once I run out of dragon, I can just switch to fire, and that will be useful. Fire is not very good against Sea Deus. Like, what is the damage, actually? It is... yeah, really crap. He takes more damage from it than ice and water, but it's almost nothing. So... I'm guessing this bowgun doesn't shoot thunder. It'd be nice if it did. It does not. Just flaming in dragon. Okay. I suppose I would be switching to either pierce or normal shots. Looks like AJ has joined the session. He managed to find where we are, which is cool. Okay. So, I just need to bring my dragon shots into my inventory. I've already done that. Cool. Making sure. Okay. Sorry if you saw that flash there. I don't know if that flash would have been visible. On my screen it certainly was, but basically it was just switching from window to window. Sometimes it causes a little flash. I don't need empty vials, that's not necessary. Nitro shrooms, not necessary. I'll ensure that I've got... See, Pierce level 3, I don't know if I want to fall back on Pierce level 3 because my recoil is some. I think it goes... low, some, average, high, I think. So, some is probably not going to be appropriate for Pierce level 3, but I will bring it nonetheless. It may be more appropriate for this gun to use Pierce level 1. Sadly, I don't really have the ability to use Pierce level 2, so... One of the downsides, of course, to having, like, a decent group of people to chat with is that I take time out of the live stream where I could instead be talking to you, and I'm instead talking to them. For which I do apologize. I probably should at least share the conversation if I'm going to be chatting, hey? Okay. As I say, very rewarding to find people just, you know, out there in the ether who are here playing Monster Hunter, good to chat with, and yeah. Reminiscent of the old way. Reminiscent of an old state of the Monster Hunter community, I guess. But of course, all communities change and fluctuate. We may yet see an increased number of people like this playing Monster Hunter as time goes on. Alright, so I've definitely got what I need in terms of dragon ammunition, and I'm going to be falling back on either normal or pierce, depending on the circumstances. I don't know if you've got the chat open, AJ, but they are talking to you as well. I need to get the chat off my screen. And I need to switch to one single screen. There we go. Got that under control. Okay. Dragon shots. Let's see how effective this is. Maybe that timing was a little overzealous of me. I I really think I should have done better with that. Any dragon shots that I miss is a terrible loss, unfortunately. How about we go for something a little more consistent? Get it in the stomach. Alright, let's combine while I'm standing here. So what I just aimed for there is the belly, the stomach. That is actually the second best elemental weak point, equal to that of the head. The best elemental weak point is actually the horns. So yeah, those are a little bit harder for me to take full advantage of because I'm using a piercing elemental shot, which is Dragon Shot. So definitely I would be able to deal some good damage, but it wouldn't be the best damage, and I would be wasting some of my potential if I were to do that. Yeah, so Amatsuma Gatsuchi was quite similar to Sideos in that he felt a little bit like an underwater fight, but he was just a flying monster, right? So kind of funny in that way. I actually don't know if the fin must be a separate weak point, a separate hit zone. So I hope I'm not losing too much damage by going through the fin. I'm sure that does barely anything. I should check. The fin is they're called the front legs, and it's still okay. It's 20 elemental. So it's basically piercing through the fin at 20, and then getting to 30 as it hits the stomach. And Dragon Eater time. After all that. But yeah, I think Amatsu's cool. I don't have as much warmth in my heart for that monster. But he was definitely an exciting fight when Portable Third was new. Felt like a worthy first boss, or final boss, sorry. A worthy final boss. I'll actually position myself down a little lower to get in position for the stomach. Oh, that was actually timed to hit the face, which means I'm a little bit more out of position than I first expected. I might not go for the shot right now. Just get into position instead. I'm not getting as many flinches as I was hoping. I hope that the piercing is good, because that's always something to consider as well. You know, am I getting as much damage through my piercings as possible by aiming for the stomach hit? I hope so. But if you've noticed, I'm not really getting the sort of flinching that I would get with pierce. I'm sure the damage is still good. Flinching is not always indicative of damage dealt. It can be a good indicator, but it's not the be-all and end-all. I think I'm almost out, aren't I? 2 more shots. I'm spending a lot of time having to get back into position, aren't I? But better this than potentially missing some of my shots by aiming for something a little less reliable. Alright, well that's all of my dragon damage dealt. We'll give Pierce level 3 a try. I suspect I'm going to get some recoil on this. What have we got? No, it's okay. Alright, Pierce level 3 it is. Aha. I do, by the way, have peak performance in effect, so Even though I don't have Pierce Up, for example, I'm getting a damage boost through this. So I would say generally, Pierce is probably the better choice, but it's possible also that with better strategy, you could deal more damage than I have done against this monster while using dragon shots. Sometimes you can get away with that. Get away with not getting hit, even though you're in kind of an awkward position. But sadly, the head got the better of me, though. Ah, goodbye. If you consider that AJ's damage is going to be better than the last guy that we were hunting with, based on how long that took, Dragon is definitely worse. We've got a group of 4 people, and again, one of those people is stronger, so to have taken that long to clear it suggests to me that Pierce is better. I wonder how I could have done it differently. Maybe if I were piercing through the face and getting the horns occasionally, maybe that would be better. But I don't know. It could also be said that my DPS was considerably lower, so if I had gotten that dragon damage out a little faster, maybe that would have been better. I think certainly it would have been better. But you also want to approach it from the perspective of, let's not, what's the word? You know when you have a mental blank on a particular word that you want to use? Let's not squander the damage of Dragon by potentially either missing our shots or getting it on something that's not a weak point. With Dragon damage, particularly given that you've got limited ammunition for it, I would say that it's important to be accurate and patient. And that can sometimes be in sacrifice of DPS. I do think back on that, the fact that I basically stopped playing Try in 2013, and I still haven't played one single Monster Hunter game as much as I played that game. It's unusual. I mean, I suppose it's not that unusual. I basically lived on that game for 1.5 to 2 years. I lived on it, so I'm not too surprised. And I should also consider like how much time I spent chatting to people, not just hunting, but chatting to people, you know. Hundreds of hours spent chatting. So yeah. I don't know if I want to use Dragon again. Let's switch to a different loadout completely. I suspect that this is going to basically be a C Deus livestream, right? So I think that with that taken into consideration, I'll bring something different. Something fun. What's something that deals dragon damage that's really fun? Do I have the ancient weapons? Any ancient weapons at all? Ah. No, I'm not using fucking sword and shield underwater. That's ridiculous. What an absurd idea that just crossed my mind. Let's use the... I know exactly what I'm going to use. Awakened Gunlance, Stygian Zenurga. This is an experience. Again, for those who are unfamiliar with this, Awaken's most effective use, probably in the series, would be Stygian Zenurga in 3 Ultimate. Sounds slightly excessive. Beyond that, I would say Awaken was its strongest in this game, not just because of Stygian Zenurga, but also weapons like a Grongigas Hammer, which AJ was using before, the Black Diablos Lance, and the Kelby Deershot. So those weapons are extremely strong, and also, in terms of the balancing, I mean, if you're familiar with stats, this is pretty fat. Like, this is a fat chunk of dragon to be slapped onto these stats. Very good sharpness, the sort of shot level that you would expect of a gun lance of this level, and also 621 raw, so yeah, they're very good. Okay. Underwater Gunlance, by the way, and this is worth discussing. I think it was in 2020, I had this weird epiphany where I realized that the Gunlance underwater is actually really, really good. I would always default to Lance, but naturally the Gunlance, as compared to the Lance, does at times feel more mobile because you've got that forward momentum with your attacks, like, you know, you're running forward thrusts. That translates really well underwater, and the main reason why is that when you're moving with your weapon out, you're very slow underwater no matter what, so that limited mobility of the Gunlance almost feels standard. It feels like the underwater experience, so all you're getting is the increased mobility of those forward thrusts, and it feels really good. I would say that for underwater combat, Gunlance is probably the best among the Blade Master weapon types, and it feels the most, as I say, mobile, the most suited to the environment almost. It feels really good, because it is automatically a low mobility weapon type. The reason why you've got other low mobility weapon types that don't necessarily translate as well to underwater, like Greatsword, is because, like, for example, with Greatsword, I find that it's so easy for underwater monsters to move out of your range, so for me, if I'm charging my Greatsword, very easy for a monster to make a slight movement and then I'm out of range. I don't know if this is to do with what I just suggested, the ease with which a monster can move great distances underwater and then you're out of range, or if it's a perspective issue. Maybe I think I'm closer to the monster than I actually am, and so it causes issues. All I can say is that Greatsword underwater is not very comfortable for me, but Gunlance underwater, as I've discovered, is good shit. Good shit. Good shit. Whoops. Not in that direction. Guess I'll settle for the tail hit. Don't think that really hit anything, that's alright. Heavy shot. But yeah, it was a very late discovery to find that Gunlance was so comfortable underwater. And it was because, really, this is the only game, I shouldn't even say really, this is quite literally the only game where you can use a Gunlance underwater. And because of my experience playing Lance underwater in Tri, I just defaulted to that. When using Blademaster underwater, it was basically just Longsword and Lance that I would use based on my experience in Tri, but I was not adventurous enough to properly attempt to use Gunlance. And when I tried it, I remember the quest that it was in, well, not the quest exactly, but I remember where I was. It was in the Flooded Forest. And I think it was in 2020, and I was very impressed. I was impressed with the mobility, and yeah, it was very good. As I say, it was like an epiphany. Oh. Seeing AJ do a Wyvern Fire has reminded me to do the same. My apologies. I don't think that did actually hit him in the end. That's good. Switch Axe is okay underwater, I suppose. Yeah, you're right. The reason why I didn't mention it is because I don't really like using the Switch Axe at the best of times. So, underwater is not really going to be first on my list, but yeah, the Switch Axe is fine. In some ways, Longsword is also terrible, because you lose that second overhead swing, which just means you're dealing less damage. I was just commenting on the something mentioned in the chat. The guy was like, you can get a nice pad in Lochlac. Pad, I presume referring to home. And I was just commenting on the fact that all of those Alpha Team games have that ability. That's a funny moment to cancel out his attack. Doing those, I think I've got guard up. I do, thank God for that. I presume that I've got guard up over... No, I've actually got both. I've got guard +2 and guard up, which is... It is a surprise to see. I usually choose one or the other, just based on the availability of skills, but... Yeah. I have to say that while I use this Gunlance underwater, shooting it is way less satisfying. Although, that was excellent, AJ. That Wyvern Fire to break the horn. Just as I was saying it was not very satisfying, AJ goes and does the most cinematic thing ever with the Gunlance underwater. I may have to highlight that. That looked really cool. I think it might just be the heavy shot. The heavy shot doesn't have the same sort of heft, visual heft, that the land version does. Watch. See that? Maybe it's okay. Maybe I'm just being a negative Nancy, as they say. Yeah, not that kind of Nancy. Goodbye. That was about the same as... in terms of damage output, that was about the same as the Dragon Light Bowgun, which probably goes to show that either I was using that quite poorly in the previous hunt, or it's actually not particularly effective compared with his Gunlance. I mean, look, it cannot be understated how good this gun lance is. It's excellent. Against dragon weak monsters, it hits like a truck. And AJ's using it as well, so... I'm not surprised by that result, is what I'll say. I'm actually carving this time. I hope this guy gets his fur. Legic. He's been struggling a bit. There's probably another horn, yeah. Didn't get to carve that one. Okay. Again, I shouldn't be tempted to talk to them without revealing the chat, but I trust you all know what it is that I am engaged in when I am not speaking with you. Zinfin's like, yeah, I got it for PS4, and I was thinking, this is where I get to say, hey, so did I, but then I sold it after 3 months, and then, let's not get on that subject. Let's not even go there. That would put a damper on an otherwise very wholesome conversation. The point is that they're here, and they're having fun. Wouldn't you say? Alright, just discard this stuff. Almost, well, certainly with impeccable timing. Any strong opinions on Rise? I don't even really know what to say. I'll have to phrase it in a light-hearted way. I'm going to try to leave it there. If I'm prompted to elaborate, I may, but not in the sort of full detail that I would in a live stream, but go on. Any strong opinions on Rise? Yeah, I wonder. Well, you're in good company, Legic. He says he's not the biggest fan of Rise either. So, there you have it. I'll try to change the subject. Apparently he holds Wilds in a similar regard to that of Rise, which is probably why he's playing this and not Wilds, right? I have Wilds completely outside of my radar. I have no concept for how many people are playing that game, how popular it is, what people's impressions of it are. It's completely gone, and that's so refreshing. And I think I have a lot of you guys to thank for that. Thank you for not constantly bringing up Wilds. Because, yeah, I have no idea what's going on with that now, and it's so refreshing. I feel like I can live in a world where it doesn't exist, as a result. For which I'm very, very grateful. Leshik says, well, I don't need to read it. He says, I need 2 more fur, but we can do another hunt. I'm whaled out. Yes, you are. you would be whaled out at this point. Yeah, Duck Wizard, to be extremely clear, I don't need the details of how many people were playing at launch, because that was knowledge shared with me at the time. My point that I was making is that I haven't heard anything about that game recently at all, and so I don't really... yeah, and I don't require an update on that. Very kind of you to give me information I already knew. You know, how many of those players actually continued playing the game? That's the question. Probably not a whole lot. Or possibly a lot, I don't know, but... either way. These guys are doing Gen Moran, but I suspect that... well, let me just see what the... yeah, so it's HR 8 for the G rank one, so they'll be doing high rank, I think. Is that not right? I don't think there is a Gen Moran that they can hunt. Yeah, okay. They're doing high rank Gen Moran, that's fine. Yeah, I'm happily ignorant of what's going on with Wilds, I really am. I could not care less. I really couldn't. It's not relevant to me. Alright, Gen Moran, what would make this fun? I might use a hammer. But I will not actually... well, maybe I will. Should I use my hammer set? The only reason why I wouldn't is because I'm obviously not going to benefit in any way from the Knockout King's skill when fighting Gen Moran. So let's just not even do that. Let's use, I guess, my high-graded plug set. Whatever that is. Actually, let's use this. Or shall we not? What am I doing? I don't really have just a general use high-graded plug set. I just use this. But Rocksteady is obviously not going to help me against Gen Moran. But I suppose I can ignore him. Maybe I could bring the Portsmark. Yeah, let's do that. So I've got an Awakened Hammer loadout, but that probably has KO King as well, doesn't it? It does. Alright, I've made my decision. I will use the Elatrion Hammer. Alteos Morfexo. So the Rocksteady aspect of this armor set is largely useless. Not completely, because Rocksteady does have like a sort of flinch-free ability to it. But also, the sharpness +1 aspect of my honed blade skill is not going to be useful either. So, lovely. It just feels better to use this, okay, than to use a set with KO King against a Gen Moran. Feels ridiculous. Alright, let's go. These guys are just talking about how confusing it can be to fight Gen Moran for the first time. I can definitely concur with that. I have a very memorable experience of hunting Gen for the first time. I remember it like it was yesterday. But back then it was a bit cooler, because that was in Tri, and you actually had the sandstorm rolling in. And it was event only, if you hadn't reached the urgent quest for it. And even then, I think the urgent disappeared, so... for the most part, you could only really do it as an event. Come on. Legic says, you fellas don't want the binder? Oh. Well, I guess I could get it. I'll go and get it. I guess AJ and I are just too lazy. Alright, I got it. And I'll take the bombs too, why not? Zinfin says, man, I fought this guy for the first time yesterday and felt like a chicken with its head cut off. Had someone saying meatball incoming. I'm like, what the hell is that? See what I mean? That's the sort of interaction that you should be having with Monster Hunter. Some random guy saying meatball incoming and you're like, what? Whoops, in my excitement and in my jollification, I threw myself off the boat. That's very funny. Very funny. I can only assume that meatball is referring to the rocks, but anyway. Alright. At the end of the day, it wasn't too disruptive for me to fall off the boat. It obviously wasn't pleasing in any way, but didn't disrupt the hunt for me too much. Ah, but it's a ship, Mad Duck Wizard. We might want to convert that to knots. Don't think we want kilometers per hour. How many knots is 100 kilometers per hour? It's probably like 60 knots or something. Not, I say that as a complete guess, by the way. I'm probably terribly wrong. Maybe it's closer to 40 knots. Maybe 40 knots. I'm going to guess 40 knots. 40 knots. 54 knots. I was pretty close. I was pretty close. Are we about to be thrown off? Alright, I'm going to keep attacking. Not that I really need to, because to be honest, this monster's going to die very easily. We've got two people dealing proper dragon G-rank damage. Oh, thank you for that. That was very kind. See? This is what it means to have a proper online interaction, alright? I'll tell you what, sometimes you forget what you once had. I'll get the binder ready just in case. Okay. Guess he doesn't normally ram the ship like that, does he? But yes, I'm on binder duty. As I say, I usually leave the siege weaponry to other people, or maybe not as I said, but as I demonstrated by having absolutely no regard for the existence of the binder in the box. I'm happy to take up the role. If we get a body slam, I will gong. If we get a charge, I will bind. Not a problem. Do not interrupt me, Delix. Now, I do also have these bombs, which may detonate if I have someone decide to attack. Alright. All good, guys, I've paintballed the monster. We know precisely where he is now. Alright, I'm going to do a spinning golf swing. I guess that was effective. I would have been quite frustrated, actually, if the tusk broke at that moment. But yeah, just to explain why I react in this way when I've got like a nice group of people actually chatting, I think more than anything else, it might be language barrier. I think there's more language barrier, to be honest, here in the emulated games. And people seem to only just use the bare minimum of communication. I think, honestly, it may not even be because of where we are playing the game, like the fact that it's on an emulator. I really don't believe that. I think people just communicate differently online now. I really believe that. It's just refreshing to see something a little different. But I think there must also be an element of language barrier. I'll be sharpening up momentarily. Very pleased that I had a group to play with here, though, in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. It could have ended very poorly. This live stream, I mean. I could have been stuck with no one to play with, but it did not play out that way. That was not the outcome. This monster's probably already dead. From the amount I've been hitting it. Purple Sharpness Elatrion weapon. In high rank. If I actually had a number for how many Gem Moran I had killed, it would be pretty impressive, I think. I was in the 500s back in Try. So, that was some time ago. Yes, I'm sure that Jen is feeling a form of tooth cavity pain right now. We may actually skip the Dragon Eater, depending on how much damage we're dealing. I have seen that happen before. Not recently, but I do have a memory of that. May just go straight to the final showdown. We'll see. Yep. It did do that. Obviously, biggest criticism of 3 Ultimate Gem Moran is that he fucking rises out of the sand. It's ridiculous. I'm sure they were aware of that. I'm sure they saw it and went, oh shit. It's a bit late for us to fix this now, so there you go, full game. Enjoy. Gem Moran is rising out of the sand. It's only this game. It doesn't happen in Portable Third or Try. Just another example of how this port was a bit rough around the edges. Well, I shouldn't even say this port, excuse me. This is the original 3DS version. This isn't even the Wii U version. So, no, this actual whole fucking game was rough around the edges. And yet it still manages to be my favourite Monster Hunter game, or at least as I profess it to be. I think I agree with that. I'm not just sticking to a previous assessment and not moving on that. I genuinely think this is my favourite Monster Hunter game, and it really says a lot about the series that such an imperfect game can be my favourite in the series. It says it all, honestly. I have, by the way, been proven that the monster is not dead, because he would have died as soon as I hit him. But I think he's close to death. We should let him come forward a little bit. Definitely important for these guys to get their calves. I'll let him take... Oh, that's probably okay. He's probably within the calm zone now. Very good. So, again, I say we wait. If these guys decide to go in there and attack, it's their own calves that they will be missing out on, but... What? I don't know if I can trust that information. From Software made Poka Poka Iroh Village? I highly doubt that, to be honest. On the face of it, that sounds absurd. How can you declare a favourite Monster Hunter game when you haven't played Poka Poka Iroh Village? Well, maybe I have played it. Maybe I'm just withholding this information. Oh, that's going to hit me. It's a bit dangerous. We are certainly no longer at risk of losing our calves. So fortunately, everyone can get what they need. And I will definitely carve because I'm sure that I've got space for high rank stuff of Gen Moran. It's the G rank stuff that I've got max stacks for in terms of materials, but... and here I am getting an Earth Dragon Gem. These guys need Earth Dragon Gems. I really do not. Why would From Software have made Poka Poka Iroh Village? I was not expecting a crossover of this sort, you have to understand. I mean, this realization comes with great surprise, because, and indeed incredulity, because I consider myself to be a Souls Monster Hunter player, primarily. Like, when it comes to my video gaming, I'm a Souls Monster Hunter Zelda player. So to have a crossover between Capcom and From Software like this on fucking Poka Poka Iroh Village, a game that quite frankly has been a meme in my live streams for the last 5 years, it comes as a considerable shock. Maybe I will have to play it after all. My god. Yeah. I'll do one more quest. Ideally not Gem Moran, because that's kind of long. Alright, Poka Poka Iroh Village. Developer, From Software Incorporated. Published by Capcom. What the fuck? The player gives orders to the felines to progress to the end of quests instead of having direct control over them. This sounds great. The game uses a more cartoonish art style as opposed to the more realistic style seen in the main Monster Hunter games. More emphasis is placed on style and village management. What do you mean style? What do you mean the visual appearance of the game? A few Hello Kitty items are also available in the game, very good. Oh my god, it's got a G rank expansion. This I did not know. Monster Hunter Diary, Poka Poka Aero Village G is an expansion pack and was released in August 2011. Oh my god. Monster Hunter Diary, Giri Giri Aero Village is a series of 10 television shorts developed to help advertise Poka Poka Aero Village. There are some things I would have been better off not knowing. They feature felines attempting quests and almost invariably failing at them. One episode also has a Chibiterasu cameo. A Nintendo 3DS version of the game titled, Monster Hunter Diary Poka Poka Aero Village DX, which means deluxe, was released in Japan in 2015. I can't really believe that it got a 3DS version all those years later. The G-Rank expansion features Neckhot. I don't know if that's a joke, but if it's true, then that's quite funny. I guess I should be taking it seriously at this point. Okay. AJ says anything's fine. I kind of... I'm just putting my cards on the table and saying I'm keen for something different. That's not a personal desire. It's on the basis that this entire live stream has been filled with C-Deus, which I don't take issue with completely because it's to the benefit of Legic and Zinfin that we do that. Oh yeah, Rustarambarus. Sure. So yeah, they benefit from us doing that, but seriously, it does become repetitive. Rustarambarus. You think AJ's posted the event version? I wonder if they can do the event version, because if so, then we may as well do that. Axe to grind. Let me just see if they can do the event version. It'd be quite funny if they could do it. Mountain in the desert. He's got a lot of health, but fuck it. Fuck it, I say. Alright. I had a feeling he wouldn't know what I was talking about. Let's do giant Rustarambarus. Quite rightly, Legic suggests that he might get his ass whooped, but we've got to do it. We've got to do it. I'll bring a bow. Do I have what have I got in terms of pierce bows? I presume I've got the Diablo's bow, so I'm going to bring that, I think. Sarah Cyclord. That's what we want. Yeah, only exhaust coating's available, sadly. But that's alright, it's a very strong bow. Alright. So what I'm actually going to do, because as I have suggested, I have limited time, I'm actually going to begin cooking some rice just before I depart on this quest. Just going to say be right back in 2 minutes, and I will be back in 2 minutes roughly for you guys. See you in a moment. I do hope that these people have steeled themselves for Rust Durambros. Was that a good joke? I don't know. Alright. That's an opinion I wasn't expecting. AJ says that he doesn't mind Rise. That is new information. Apparently Legic dislikes Wilds more than Rise, which is interesting. Anyway. I also mind Rise, Mad Duck. I mind it a lot. Looks like Legic does not have a cool drink. I will give him 2. Oh god. That'll be a funny entrance for him, seeing it for the first time. Entering the area and you've just got this giant thing in the way. Come on. Finish what you're doing. Sadly, the sheer size of this monster makes it so that aiming for the hump is actually out of critical distance, I think. And I hope I'm going to be dealing enough damage for this. I suppose we'll find out. It just felt like the most sensible choice to use this loadout. And Legic is dead. I actually feel bad for him. I wonder how that happened. If we do fail the quest, so be it. It might be for the better. We might actually fail it sooner than we would otherwise clear it. It does it by causing all other fauna to become extinct, Mad Duck. That is how a creature of this size can live in a desert. Look how dangerous this is, oh my god. You actually get caught by the sheer size of the tail. And Zinfin is dead. Maybe this was an unkind choice. I said it would be funny. I mean, it won't be funny if they just have a completely failed quest. It depends how quickly they fail it. We don't really want a situation where we get quest failure after 15 minutes. Quest failure after 3 to 5 minutes is fine. But, wasting too much time is not ideal. Oh my god. That tail attack is genuinely terrifying when he is this big. Because it can really catch you. Legic is suggesting that it's a bit above the pay grade of both Legic and Zinfin, but they're going to... they will persist nonetheless. Some monsters, when they move, do look a little bit like they're limping. This is a particularly hulking example of a monster, just a real... You know, he's lumbering about. I don't really have too much confidence in my damage, to be honest with you. And I shouldn't be in that position, because I should be one of the damage dealers here, but... Just don't know how much I'm really doing. Managed to knock him down, that's good. Well, we've broken the hump, that's good news. Maybe my damage is okay. Just whenever I use raw bow, I just feel like I'm not doing that much damage. It's not a very satisfying weapon type, raw bow. Some may not be in agreement with me on that point, but... Yeah, the bow is not a very strong weapon type. Bowgun's generally stronger, but... Bow does still have lots of potential for good damage. These guys are still effective, the high rank guys, by dint of the slime explosions that are proccing. Bow is cooler than bowgun? I guess so. That's a bit circumstantial, though. I think some bowguns are pretty cool. What the hell is he doing? He's thrown himself into the air and come to a halt. But no one was here at the time. He was prompted for some reason to start doing a spin. Maybe he just does it in his own time, it's not just an attack. Maybe it's just a way of life. I can't see anything. Aha! This is where we certainly want to be. Well, I can't avail myself of a pitfall trap if I am not in possession of one. That's a bit upsetting. AJ, do you have a pitfall? If you do, this is the time. If not, then I will use a shock trap. I might have to drop a shock trap. Because it seems that AJ does not have one. I don't have many pitfalls in this game, unfortunately. I just don't have many nets. Nets are not that easy to get. Maybe you can buy them? I hope you can buy them. If you can, then that would be great, but I'm not completely convinced. Right, let's get him in this trap. Come on. Excellent. I'm not really in the best position for hump damage, am I? See, we are in that awkward position where we had 2 deaths early on, and now these guys are going to be clenching. Oh, is that failure? Very good. And so these guys are clenching. We're in a position where there is the likelihood of failure at a really unfortunate moment. Well, all moments of failure are unfortunate, but what I mean is that this could happen right when we're almost about to succeed. It's a classic scenario of Monster Hunter. Early failure does not necessarily lead to total quest failure. Or I guess early mistakes, early feints. do not necessarily lead to quest failure, but they can, unfortunately, raise the likelihood of a really long drawn-out quest where we just fail it anyway. That, of course, is why people tend to abandon when there is early failure, or early deaths. These guys are pretty scared, and I'm glad. It's a proper experience. Again, I said it would be funny. Funny in terms of how big he is, I guess is really what I meant. I don't think this situation is funny. But it's good, it puts the pressure on a bit. Puts the pressure on. And at least AJ and I are doing proper G-rank damage. The thing is, these guys are not as inappropriately equipped as they may think, and that's because of the slime damage that they're doing. But obviously in terms of their defense, it's not ideal. It's far from ideal. Ugh. Ah, very good. See if I can get out of here. No. It's so easy to get caught, isn't it? If I were one of them, if I had their defense, and I think I, even as a gunner, have more defense than these guys, that would just be death for them. Alright, I'd better... Oh! I think he is... weak. By the looks of it, yeah. Very good. Very good. See, this team was more than capable of handling this. I say we go for the capture. I'm asking if anyone's got a trap. Alright, so sadly, Legic is going the long-ass way, but he's the guy with the trap. Hopefully AJ is going to place his. I think AJ would have one. Alright, he's going for it. Excellent. Apparently Legic forgot to carve the tail. I thought he was going somewhere really weird, like maybe he was lost. But no, he was going back to carve the tail. That was perfectly fine, you know, for having two high rank people in the team, that was done in a reasonable time. That surpassed my expectations, to be honest. Maybe this overpowered bow is actually not as bad as I thought it was. I mean, it's not overpowered, it's just very useful. But yeah, very good. I'm happy with that. That guy certainly didn't miss a meal. No. He's beyond XL. There we go. Got another Far East sword. That, of course, is used for the... I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's those Japanese-looking dual blades, which have a slime awaken. But even with that slime awaken... Bushido, that's what it's called, Bushido. Unfortunately, those dual blades, even with awaken, are not as good as the Brachydios dual blades, so it's a bit of a fashion weapon. Not an amazing choice, and certainly not the meta choice. You do get a bit of that. Slime weapons, which still end up being worse than the Brachydios weapons. I got a crown update, yeah, indeed. Alright. Who's going to be arm wrestling? I'm happy to arm wrestle. Who wants to lose, says Legic. I don't want to damage my controller. I've gone through so many, well not through so many, but I've already gone through one DualShock 4 controller. He did actually win. Nice work. Oh, AJ, instead of allowing me the opportunity to reclaim my dignity, I have to try again. This is important. Well, okay. Who's okay? To be clear, I think I've only ever lost an arm wrestle on camera once ever, and that was because my fingers were slipping off the controller. Alright, I need to rematch here. This is very important. He's good. I might be out of practice, but he's pretty good. Looks like he's just using double analog, which is probably fair. Remember, that's my technique for breaking out of getting pinned by monsters in a quiet way, because button mashing's quite noisy, but if I just rotate the sticks really fast, that breaks out of it pretty quickly without making much noise. I don't want stick drift on this fucking controller. I refuse. Anything that's going to damage this analog stick, no, I don't want to do it, okay? So, yeah, I do not trust in the durability of this controller, not one bit. Anyway, that's it for this live stream. I hope you all enjoyed. Not sure what the next game is going to be. It is whatever I am able to play. I noticed that there wasn't much interest in Freedom Unite last time. I don't know if that's because there was a Lao Shan Lung in the thumbnail, or if there was another reason for that, but yeah, very, very low uptake with the previous live stream. But hopefully more people will be interested in watching this one. Goodbye for now, and I'll see you next time.